ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्तु निराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरते यौपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम्। Page 248, passage number 4. अन्नमयं हि सौम्य मनः आपोमयः प्राणः तेजोमयी वागिते भूय एव मा भगवान् विज्ञापयत्विति तथा सौम्येति होवाच। यतः एवं भुक्तस्य अन्नस्य पीतानां अपि अपाम् असितस्य तैलादेशस्य ये अनिष्ठा धातवः. So that which is the subtlest aspect of the food and that of the water and that of the fire, ye anishtha dhata te manovak prana. Thus the subtlest aspect of the food becomes the mind, that of the water becomes the prana, that of the fire becomes the organ of speech. Itevam yata siddham. This is what is established from the previous passages. Therefore, अन्नमयम therefore अन्नमयि सौम्य मनः आपोमयः प्राणः तेजोमयी वाक्. That's how the teacher now concludes here. Then a question was raised that there are some creatures who only eat food and they are not seen to drink water, etc. There are other aquatic creatures who only drink water we don't see them eating food. There are some who sustain on fire, meaning the greasy substances such as the ghee, oil, etc. But all of these are seen to be possessed of all the three, the mind, the prana and the speech. So how do you say that the mind is nourished only by food and the prana is nourished only by water? Naisha dosha sarvasya trirutkritatvat, because of the threefold combination that everything possesses everything else. Saratva sarvopattehe, each element is present in all the three. Ityavam pratyayata Shvetaketu aha. Shvetaketu, who was just made to see this fact as to how the food is the product, the mind, the product of food, etc., asked, Bhuye ma bhagavan vijñāpayatu iti. Annamahim somyamana ityadi vijñāpayatu drishtantena avagamayatu. Nadyapi mama asmin arte sammyik nischayo jata. There's still this conviction that the mind is the product of food, prana is the product of water, and the speech is the product of fire. That conviction has not yet arisen in me. Sarvedam sarvesham sannidhana avisheshe. All the three, the mind, the prana, the vital air, and the speech, all are present. And all the three elements also are consumed. Ekasmin udare pravishtanam annadinam mishri bhutatvat. So ultimately food, water, fire, all of this it all gets mixed up, united in the stomach. Mishri bhutatvat manasasya sarvabhuta guna vyanjakatvena sarvabhutarabdhatvat. So you can't say that mind is only parthivam, is only a product of the earth, because the mind illumines all the objects and therefore seems to have the elements of all the five elements, aspects of. Therefore, Shvetaketu says that still this conviction is not arisen that only the food, the subtle element of food, nourishes the mind and not the other two. And also the subtle aspect of the water nourishes prana and not the other two. Ekasmin upayujyamanaha yat upayujyamanani apsneha jatani anishadhatu rupena mana pranavacha upachinvante swajati anatikramena iti. Without transgressing its own quality, they respectively only nourish these three. Iti durvijñayam. This is difficult to ascertain, difficult to know. Ataha bhuyeva ityadya. Therefore, Shvetaketu said, may the revered sir please explain to me again with an illustration. Tatha somyati hovacha. The father said, O good looking one, may it be so. Says now on the page 249, Anandagiri, in the line 25, Mishri bhavepi sukshma bhagasya prasageva karya karanatve drishtantamaha. Mishri bhavepi. Even though everything is mixed up and still, sukshma bhagasya, the sukshma bhaga, the subtle aspect, has prithageva karya karanatve drishtantamaha. How the subtle aspect has its own karyam. Subtle aspect becomes the karanam, the cause of its own specific karya, specific effect. Even though the subtle, the middle, and the gross, all of these are mixed up with each other. Still, by the illustration, the teacher wants to show how the subtle aspect has its own specific effect, independent of the other two. So, passage 1 says on page 249, Dadna somya Madhyamanasya Yonima Saurdvaha Samudishati Tatsarpir Bhavati. He Somya, a good looking one, Dadnaha Madhyamanasya. When the curd is churned, Anima, the subtle aspect of the curd, Sa urdhva samudishati, it rises above. So how, even though the subtle, the middle and the gross are all mixed up in the curd, and still when you churn, only the subtle aspect arises. Tat sarperi bhavati, and that becomes ghee or clarified butter. So this is the nature of things. That subtle aspect has its own individual specific effect. So Vashyakara says, Dadna somya madhyamanasya ya anima anubhavaha saurdvaha samudishate sambhuya urdhvam navanita bhavena gacchate tatsarpir bhavate. Dadna somya madhyamanasya somya, when the curd is churned. Ya anima anubhavaha, that is the subtlest aspect. Saha urdhva samudishati samyak udishati sambhuya urdhvam gacchati. So, sambhuya, the subtle aspect which is spread throughout the curd, it gets collected and then it rises. Sambhuya urdhvam navanita bhavena gacchati. In the form of the butter, that subtle aspect of the curd gets collected and rises when the curd is churned. Tat sarpir bhavati, and that alone becomes the ghee or the clarified butter. Drishtanta anudya darshtantikam aha. Or as the Tika says in line 34, Ghrute viline dadyams anugatihi sutam na pratiyate. Now in the ghee, you do not really find presence of curd. Ghrute viline, when the ghee is melted, dadyam sanugatihi sutam na pratiyate. You do not see in the ghee specifically the presence of curd, even though ghee is made of curd, and still in ghee you do not find the presence of curd. Ati sukshmatvena, the very subtle aspect of curd is present in the ghee. But that means ati sukshma, very, very fine. Therefore, you cannot make it out, you cannot see it, you cannot perceive it. Athapi dadhikairem krutamiti abhivagamyate. But everybody knows that the ghee is a product of curd. That everybody knows. So even though people do not see the presence of curd in the ghee, still people say that ghee is the product of curd. In a pot, for example, we see the presence of clay, and so you can say that the pot is made of clay. But like that, you do not see the presence of curd in the ghee, and still people say that curd is the product of ghee. Tatha mana adishu annadi karana anugate sudam pratiti abhavepi. Similarly, in the mind, you do not see the presence of food. In the prana, you do not see the presence of water. In the speech, you do not see the presence of fire. Sudam pratiti abhavepi. Even though the causes are not clearly seen in those effects. Annadikayatvam abhivagantavyam. But just as you accept that the ghee is a product of curd, even though you do not see the presence of curd in the ghee, so also you have to accept that the mind is a product of food, even though you do not specifically see the presence of food in the mind, and similarly with prana and the vak. Iti. So, continuing in the next passage, Evameva khalu somya anyasya annasya ashyamanasya yonima saurdvaha samudishati tanmano bhavate. Evameva Drishtandam anudya dashtandikamaha. Evam, in the same manner. He somya annasya ashyamanasya, the food, when it is eaten, anima. So this does happen. That the subtle ingredient or component separates itself from the rest, gets collected, rises above, and results into a different product. Just as in case of the curd, the subtle aspect arose, became butter, and then became ghee. Similarly, annasya, ashyamanasya, when you eat the food, consume the food, anima. Similarly, from the food also, the subtle aspect rises above. Saurdva samudishati sahatan manobhavati. Just as the subtle aspect of the curd became ghee, so also the subtle aspect of the food becomes mind. The illustration is to show how the subtle aspect rises above, that's all. So you can imagine that this must be happening with reference to food also. So Vashyakara says, Yathayam drishtantah evameva khalu soumya annasya odanadehe ashyamanasya bhujyamanasya odaryena agnina Vayu sahitena khajena iva mathyamanasya yaha anima saurdvaha samudishati tanmano bhavati. Yathayam drishtantah. Just as this is the illustration of the curd and the subtle aspect rising above. He somya annasya odanadehe asyamanasya. Similarly, annam, food such as rice, etc., when it is eaten, bhujyamanasya, same thing. Now, in case of the curd, there is a churning taking place. That is how the subtle aspect of the curd rose above. When you eat the food, does churning take place? Bhashyakara says yes. Agnina, vayu sahitena agnina, audariyena agnina. The stomach fire in combination with the prana apana samayukta pachamyannam chaturvidam. In combination with vayu in the form of prana and the apana, the breathing out and breathing in. Khajena iva, khajaha manthaha means a churning stick. Khaja is a churning rod, a churning stick. Mathyamanasya anima surdhum samudishare. So food is as though churned in the stomach. Like the curd is churned, so also food is churned by the khaja or the sticking, the churning stick in the form of the fire in combination with the air. Sri Ranagiri, khajo manthaha tena mathyamanasya dadna yatha animahan tatha yatoktasyannasya yonima iti yojyam. Yatha, just as happened in case of the curd, so also in case of food also, that which is the subtle aspect, that's what you have to understand. Tan mano bhavati, just as that subtle aspect of curd became the ghee. In this case, the subtle aspect of the food becomes the mind. So Anandagiri says, Katham tan mano bhavati uchyate. How do you say that the subtle aspect of food becomes mind? Manasa pragapi siddhatvat. Because even before you ate the food, mind is already there. So how do you say that the mind is created from the food becomes mind? Iti ashankyaha manovayavahi. Bhashyakara says, manovayavaistaha sambhuya manaha upachinoti ityetata. Mano avayavaisa sambhuya. Sambhuya being united with the avayava, the ingredients of the mind. So mind also is a product of matter. It is savayavam, consisting of it's an aggregate of different components. And therefore the ingredients or components of the mind, with that the subtle aspect combines, unites, and then nourishes the mind. So when you say that the subtle aspect of food becomes the mind, it means that that aspect nourishes the mind by combining with the elements of the mind itself and nourishes the mind. So that way the food contributes to the mind, you can say. Say the next tika, 35 line, Karana Anugatehe Vidyamayaha Manayaha api Atindriyatvena Swapratiti Abhavopattehetyaha. Karana Anugatehe Vidyamanayaha api. Even though the presence of the cause is there in the effect, Atindriyatvena, because the subtle aspect is beyond the sense perception. Therefore, pratiti abhavopattehe is quite reasonable to understand that you may not have pratiti or the direct perception. Okay. The next passage. apam somya piyamananam yonima saurdva samudishati saprano bhavate. Similarly, the water also, when you drink the water, there also a subtle aspect rises above and becomes the prana. So Vashyakara says, Tatha apam somya piyamananam yonima saurdva samudishati saprano bhavati iti. So same churning stick that churns the food can be imagined to churn the water also. And thus the subtle aspect of water gets separated and rises up and then becomes prana. Bhashya is the same thing. Tatha apam somya. That's all right. So next one. Tejasah somya ashyamanasya yonima saurdha samudishati savag bhavati. Somya tejasah ashyamanasya. Similarly, when fire, meaning the ghee, butter, etc., when they are consumed, they also must be getting similarly churned in the stomach. Your anima, which is the subtle aspect of this so-called element fire, urdhva samudishati, it also rises above and sa vak bhavati, and that becomes the vak of the speech. So Vashyakara says, evameva khalu somya tejasah ashyamanasya yonima saurdha samudishati savag bhavati. So as in case of the curd, so also in the case of the element fire, that is with reference to the greasy substances such as ghee, oil, etc., you can imagine similar thing must be happening, that this subtle aspect gets separated from the rest, rises above and creates its own effect. In case of teja, it creates the effect of speech. So Bada Swami used to say fire is speech, so normally with the speech you associate fire. So fire is of course the presiding deity of speech, and fire also is the cause of the speech. Man adehe annadimetu upasamharate. How mind etc. are the products of food etc. is the again concluded in the next passage. Annamaya somya manaha apomaya pranaha tejo mayi vagiti bhuya eva ma bhagavan vijñāpayatviti tatha somyeti hovacha. So again conclusion. Annamayami somya manaha. A somya mana annamayam. Mind is the modification of food or the product of food. Apomeh prana. Prana is the modification of water or the product of water. Tejo mai vak. The speech is the modification of fire or the product of fire. Bhuya eva ma bhagavan vijñāpayatviti. The revered sir may please teach me again, please make me see again. Tatha somyeti hovacha. The father said, teacher said, may it be so. So Vashyakara says, Annamayam Soumya Manaha Apomaya Pranaha Tejo Maiva Iti Yuktameva Maya Uktam Ityabhiprayah. So conclusion, Namahi Soumya Manaha Apomaya Pranaha Tejo Maiva. Okay, Soumya, good looking one. What I said earlier also is Yuktameva Uktam Maya. What I said is quite appropriate, quite logical, in keeping the reason. Then Vashyakara continues, Ataha aptejasoho astu etas sarvamevam manastu annamayam ityatra na ekantena mama nisyayo jataha ataha bhuya eva ma bhagavan manasaha annamayatvam drishtantena vijñāpayatvati tatha soumyeti hovacha pita. Bhashya ataha aptejasoho astu etas sarvam eva. What is ataha? Anandagiri says ataha bhavat abhiprayaditi ahavata. That's interesting. Ataha is the fifth case, tasma, therefore. Bhavat abhiprayad, based on what you said, O revered sir. Aptejasoho astu etat sarvam. Etat sarvam means what? Siddhanandagiri, pranasya ammayatvam vacha tejomayatvam cha. So somehow Shvetaketu understands this conviction arises that the prana is the product of water and the speech the product of fire. That he seems to be able to understand from the illustration. But still, how the mind is product of food, that he still finds it very difficult to understand. Therefore, astu etas sarvamevam. Etat sarvam means, as you have said, oh sir, that the prana is the product of the water and the speech is the product of fire. Let it be so. Manastundamayityatra na ekantena nisyayo jataha. But the mind is the product of food. With reference to that, a firm conviction has not yet arisen in my mind. Says Anandagiri, Hridaya Pradeshe Pranadi Sannidhana Avisheshe Katham Manasa Eva Annarasen Upachayati Etat Nudyapi Samahitam Idmatvaha. Hridaya Pradeshe Pranadi Sannidhana Avisheshe. So first it was said that when all these three elements are eaten, they all get mixed up in the stomach. How does then one element does its particular effect? Brings about the particular effect. Here says now, Hridaya Pradeshe Pranadi Sannidhana Avisheshe. The region of the heart, the prana, the mind, the speech, all of these are present. Katham manasa eva annarasena upachayati. How go annarasa, the essence of food, only nourishes the mind? How do you say that it does not nourish the speech or the prana? That conviction is not firm conviction, has not yet arisen in me. Ataha, so manastu annamaya yatra na ekantena nischayo jata atah. Therefore, bhuy evama bhagavan manasa annamayatvam drishtantana vijñāpayati. Once again, your revered sir, may please make me see with the help of illustration how the mind is the product of food is not yet clear to me. Then says Anandagiri, Manasa Visheshatah Annamayatvam Upapadayatvam Uttara Grantham Utthabayati. Manasa Visheshatah Annamayatvam. That the mind is in particular the product of food, iti Upapadayatam, showing that with reasoning. Uttara Grantham. So earlier you said that the earlier text was meant for showing how the subtle aspect of each three elements becomes a corresponding effect. Now this section is merely to show how the mind is the product of food. So Abhinav Narayana ji says, Na ekantena mo nischayati. A firm conviction has not arisen. Why? Vaisheshikadi ukta nityatwadi sadhaka yukta balayukti baladityartha hai. Visheshadi ukta nityatwadi sadhaka. That mind is nityam, and for that the Vaisheshikas and others provide appropriate reasons to show how the mind is eternal. So mind is eternal, therefore always there, and therefore how it is product of food, etc. is not clear to me. Anyatha siddhanve vitareka balat vaisheka yukti badam abhiparityaha. So the teacher will say that the mind is the product of food can be easily established by anvaya vyatareka, by the rule of the agreement and separation, disagreement. That when the food is there, then the mind is there. When the food is not there, mind is not there. When the food is there, mind is there, anvaya. When the food is not there, mind is not there, vyatareka. So anyatha siddha anvaya vyatareka balat. On the strength of, vala here is strength of the arthapatti, presumption, based on the anvaya vyatareka, which is anyatha siddha. Ananyatha siddha. Okay. Which is definitely established, the anvaya vyatareka. Vaisheshika yukti badham, therefore, the yukti or the reasoning that Vaisheshika supply for proving the nityatvam or eternality of the mind does not hold water in view of the experience which shows the anvaya and vyatareka. Tatha somyeti hovacha pita. So father said, may it be so, O good looking one. Now Bhashyakara gives a long introduction of the next passage. What is the next passage? Shodashakala Somya Purusha. This person is made up of 16 kalas, 16 digits or 16 elements, parts, 16 parts. Panchadasha ahani ma ashihi. The father says to the disciple son that, O Shvetaketu, ma ashihi, may you not eat panchadasha for 15 days. Kamam apaha piva, however, drink water to the heart's content. Apomaya prana, because the prana is the product of water. Na pibato vichetsyate iti. Na pibata is one word here. For the one who does not drink water. Na pibata apibata. For the one who does not drink the water, vichetsyate, that prana will depart. Therefore, drink water as much as you want, but do not eat for 15 days. Because the Purusha, the person, conserves 16 parts. So 15 days, 15 parts will go away if you don't eat. 16 days, one part remains. So as long as food was there, the mind was there. Food is not there, mind is essentially not there. So this Shodasha Kala, Narendra Puri says, Anvaya Vyatirekavyam Manasa Annarasena Upachitatvam Darshayitam. By the method of Anvaya and Vyatireka, the teacher wants to show how the mind is the product of food. Annasakaryam Shaktim Kalatvena Kalpayati. The Shakti, the strength or the power, that is the effect of the annarasa, the essence of food. That is imagined as kala. Annasya. So Vashyakara says, of course, Anandagiri said the same thing. Anvaya Vyatirekavyam Manasopachita Darsheta Annarasjanitam Shaktim Kalatvan Kalpa Annasya. Vashyakara says, Annasya bhuktasya yaha anishto dhatuhu saha manasi shaktim adhat sa annopachita manasa shakti षोडशदा प्रविभज्य पुरुषस्य कलात्वेन निर्दीक्षिता. Annasya bhuktasya, the food that is eaten, not just any food, understand, it's important that annasya ashyamanasya, bhujyamanasya, ashitasya, annasya bhuktasya, the food that is eaten. Yeah, anishto dhatuhu, because the stomach separates these three ingredients, the gross, the middle and the subtle. This separation takes place in the stomach. Saha manasi shaktim adhat, it imparted the power to the mind. Says the Tika, adhat iti sthapitvan ityartha. Adhat means sthapitvan. It imparted or it established the power in the mind. Sa annopachita manasa shakti, that power of the mind which has been due to nourishment by food. Food nourishes the mind, that's how the mind gains its strength, power, shakti. Shudoshada pravibhajya, dividing that shakti of the mind into 16 parts. Purusasya kalapena nirdidikshita. Nirdeshtu vichishthita ishta. So, desire intended to be mentioned, nirdesha. So, Upanishad imagines the power of mind as made up of 16 parts. So, Shodasha pravivajya, that power of mind is divided into 16 parts. Purushasya kalatvena nirdidikshita. Each part of that power of the mind becomes one kala, one digit or one avaya, one part of the Purusha, the person we say to be consisting of or made of 16 parts. Siddhanagiri, Shodashadina avachedena, Shodashadana kalpanam drashtavyam. How come Shruti does this kalpana imagines that the power this power of the mind has 16 parts? How does the Shruti say that? Shodashadina avachedena, because this experiment lasted for 16 days. Therefore, with reference 16 days, Shodashada kalpanam drashtavyam, that the Shruti has imagined the 16 parts of that power of the mind. Tathapi purushasya katham shodashakalatvam. Still, suppose the power of the mind has 16 parts, all right. How do you say the person has 16 parts, The mind, power of the mind can be imagined as made up of 16 parts, okay. Tathap, even then, katham shodashakalatvam, purushasya shodashakalatvam. How does the purusha, this person, this karikana sanghata, this complex of body, mind, sense, how does that become possessed of 16 parts? So Taya Bhashyakara says, Taya manasi annopachitaya shaktya षोडशधा पविभक्तया संयुक्त है तद्वान कार्यकरण संघात लक्षण है जीव विशिष्ट है पिंड है पुरुष है षोडशकल उच्यते तया मनसी अन्नोपचितया शक्त्या मनसी और मनस है. So the shakti of the power that is nourished by the food, by that power, Shudoshada Pravibhaktaya. Imagine that power of the mind is divided into 16 components. Sanyukta hai tadvan Karyakana Sangata Lakshana. This Pinda word is not there in Kailas Ashram. So Jiva Vishishta Purusha, that we don't know what that Pinda is doing there, because Karyakana Sangata Lakshana Purusha, the person characterized by this aggregate of the body. Karya means the gross body, Karana means subtle body. So Tadvan, says the Narayana, na kevalam tatsanyugamatra kintu drashtutvadi sarvyaharanam tanmulatvat tat pradhanasya. What is the principal or primary aspect of a person, of a human being? This power of mind. They want to say that the power of mind is the pradhana, the primary aspect of a human being. So, na kevalam tat sanyogamatra. Not only is that the human being is possessed of, or of that energy, kintu drashtutvadi sarvyaharanam tanmulatvat. But that energy of the mind is the mool and the cause for drashtutvam, seeing, hearing, talking, all the functions that take place. All of these have their source in the power of the mind. Therefore, tat pradhanasya, this purusha is tat pradhana, is what? The Shakti pradhana. He is one who has predominance of the power, which is that of the mind. So taya manasi upachitaya shaktya shudashata pravibhaktaya. That power which is in the mind, nourished by the food, that power that is divided into 16 parts. Sanyukta hai. So possessed of that, tadvan karikana sanghata lakshana purusha hai. This purusha, the person who is characterized by the karikana sanghata, the aggregate of the body and the sense organs of the mind. Jiva vishishta hai, and possessed of jiva, the para prakriti. Means the reflected consciousness, you can say in the Panchadasi Bhasha language. So, reflected consciousness, Chidabhasa. So now this person here possesses Karikana Sanghata, possesses the body, subtle gross body and the subtle body. Has the principle, possesses also Jiva, possesses soul also, or possesses the consciousness, and has predominance of the power of the mind, which is divided into 16 parts. So this is the description. Purusha Shodashakala Uchyate. But Purusha is so many things. He has a body, he has a subtle body, he has a consciousness. Why do you call him Shodashakala? Made of 16 parts. Because those 16 parts are the parts of the energy of the power of the mind, and that is the principal characteristic of a person, that he possesses, all whatever power he possesses is the power of the mind. Now Siddhanagiri tameva prakrutam anarthukam shaktim vishinasti. Bhashyakara specifies that Shakti of the power which is the product of the Annarasa, the essence of food. Or as Narayana says, Sarvyaharanam tanmulatvam anvaya vyatirikabhyam upapadayati. How all the vyavaharas, means all the activities that we carry out, all of them have their moolam, the source in the energy of the mind. Yasyam, Bhashyakara says, Yasyam satyam drashta shrota manta bodha karta vijñāta sarvakriya samartha purusho bhavati hiyamānāyām ca yasyam samarthya hānihi. Anvaya vyatirika. When the power is there, activities are there. Power of the mind is not there, activities are not there. Yasyam satyam sati saptami. When which power, when it is there, drashta, the seer, shruta, the hearer, manta, the thinker, bodha, the knower, karta, the doer, or bodha means intelligent, karta means doer, vijñāta means knower. Sarva kriya samartha purusho bhavati. The person becomes, person is karikana sanghata, individual, becomes capable of performing all these different activities. Hiyamānāyām ca yasyam. Which power again, when it wanes, when it decays, decreases. Samarthya-hānihi. As the power of mind is going away, there is also hani, or a loss of the samarthya, loss of the capacity of this person. So capacity that a person possesses of carrying out different activities are due to the presence of the power of mind. As long as that power is there, so long the person is capable of performing these different activities. When the power wanes, decreases, decays, then the capacity also of performing different activities also are lost. They also decay. Taya sanyukta purusha shodashakala iti purvena sambandha. So it is, the person is called Shodasakala, possessed 16 parts because of being possessed of this energy or power. Siddhanagiri, Annarasa Janitam, Manasa Shakti Prayuktam, Sangatasya Samarthyatra, Vakyam Pramanayati. Annarasa Janitam, created from the essence of food, Manasa Shakti Prayuktam, and also Prayuktam, brought about by the Manasa Shakti, the power of the mind. Sangatasya Samarthyam, Samarthyam, the capacity that Sanghata, this body-mind-sense complex has, is on account of the power of the mind, which again in turn is nourished by the food, the essence of food. Iti atra vakyam pramanayati. For that the Bhashyakara gives a vakya. So next passage, so next chapter. Vakshati cha atha annasya ayai drashta ityadi. Vakshati cha, and the Shruti will say also, atha, then, thereafter, annasya ayai drashta. Ayai, what is ayai? So, says Anandagiri, ayo labha asya sthiti ayi. Ayin and ayi. Ayaha labha, gaining something. So one who has gained, that is called ayi. We see the other tika, ayanam ayaha. Ayanam is going, moving, ayah, sasya sthiti ayi. So that one who possesses, that is called ayi. Annam bhuktavan ityartha. Ayanam also can be called a shelter, also can be called a resource. So that which one possesses is called ayi. It annam bhuktavan. The meaning is the one who has eaten food. Ayi means one who has eaten food. Anandagiri said, ayaha labha asya asti iti ayi. Yavat annam prapya atta bhavati. So, ayaha labha prapti. Yavat annam prapya. As long as this person gets the food, atta bhavati, getting the food and eats it, and atta bhavati. Tavadeva asya drashta itani vyavahara sambhavati. So long alone, the seer, hearer, etc., that activity is possible only when a person gets food and eats it. So, annasya, atha annasya ayai. This fellow has got the food and then drashta, that's how he becomes drashta, etc. This is the vakya explained by Anandagiri. That ayaha labha asya sthita ayi yavat annam prapya atta bhavati ayi. Tavadevasya drashta, all of that is to be added. Vyavahara sambhavati. Says Narayana Nindra, Nanu Chakshuradi Samarthyamava Drashtutvadu Hetuhu. But where do you get the power of the mind? That you see is the power of the eyes. That you hear is the power of the ears. So, Chakshuradi Samarthyamava Drashtutvadu Hetuhu Na Manas Samarthyam. So normally we think that we are able to see because of the power of the eyes. We are able to hear because of the power of the ears. Nobody says that it is the power of mind that you see or power of mind that you hear. That's not commonly known. Iti ashankya chakshuradi samartha. That is true. That you are able to see because of power of the eyes. But how does the eyes get power? So power of the eyes also is ultimately due to the power of the mind. Chakshuradi samadhami manah kritameva ityaha. और आने से उक्त अर्थ लोकानुभव अनुकूल. In what the Shruti said, Bhashyakara shows the concurrence of our day-to-day experience. Sarvasya, Bhashyakara said. Sarvasya karyakaranasya samarthyam manahkritameva. Sarvasya karyakaranasya samarthyam, the capacity or ability of this body-mind complex is all manahkritam, is all product of mind. Well, elsewhere it is also said prana, by the way. Depends upon what you want to glorify. But even in the case of prana upasana, prana is said to be even stronger or more capable or more important than mind. So when there is this debate between the sense organs, then the mind also is one of them, and the mind also leaves his body for 12 months and comes back. And how do you live without me? We live like a mad person, who doesn't have a mindless person. When prana started to depart, then all the sense organs and karanas as though got uprooted from them. Then they realized that they cannot do without prana. So that is it, everything gets the energy from prana. It is said everything gets the energy from the mind. Sarvasya karyakaranasya samarthyam manahkritameva. But it's a long introduction. Somehow Bhashyakara has to justify Shodashakalaha Purusha. To justify that, all this explanation is given. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow. What is it? Huh. Oh, that is a different thing. Yeah. $145. So that 4 kalas are different, that 16 kalas are different. That's another upasana. There are 4 quarters. Each quarter has this 4 kalas. That's how 16 kalas. It's a different way. That's a different thing. That 16 kala is Ishvara. 16 kala is the individual. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyakta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.